All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we're all back. Cool. All right, so I got a chance to check in with each of the rooms. Already there, it sounds like there's some interesting things coming up, questions coming up. So really, again, tonight it wasn't to solve anything. I'm not expecting you to leave here tonight knowing every little detail of the game you're going to create. It really was just to take the first steps of the conversation, kind of meet the people in your group, have a little bit of a conversation about some possible directions. And what I would say, over the course of the next week is, in whatever way is meaningful, sort of continue the conversation of the ideas. If you want to do that through email, I've had groups in the past. If everybody in a group uses Google, sometimes a group will set up a Google Doc where they can share it. Everybody can write ideas in, or whatever your group wants to do, or you can use the Moodle wiki as a place too. But the main thing over the next week and into the following week would be to now just start to kind of narrow the decision down. And we will be starting, and I talked about this with at least one of the groups, the first step will be that instructional design, which will really let you zero in on what the main goal, what the main instructional goal of the game is going to be. And that's where you'll really have a springboard then to start deciding, well, okay, this is what we're trying to get our students to know or be able to do. Now, how do we structure a game that will allow us to support that instructional goal? So just kind of keep the conversations going however your group wants to do that. Yeah, Christy.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. Since this has to be a complete game, like completely playable, if we're having students do this remotely or maybe blended, so half are in the classroom, half are online, and if we're using, let's say, like a game board on Scratch, we have to figure out how they can display that screen so that everyone can see how they're moving, right? Because if there's
Yeah,
multiple players in the same,
yeah,
uh,
I mean, you can. I know that is one weakness of Scratch. And I was talking about this to one of the groups. The idea of actually having a true online interactive game, meaning that this person logs in, and then whatever this person does shows up on this person's version of the game, that is difficult to do in Scratch. And they kind of built Scratch that way on purpose. And they couch it all in online safety and things like that. So there are a couple ways around it. You could set it up where sort of each person just has their own version of the game board, and everybody has to just kind of move everybody's pieces so that they can keep track of where they are. Or, like you said, you could set it up intentionally where if you're going to do it in, say, a Zoom context, where one person would share their screen, and that would be the version of the game board, and then that person would be the one that would have to move the pieces, but then everybody would be able to see where all the pieces are and kind of go from there. So it is one of the main limitations of Scratch, is trying to do something truly interactive online between players. So, but I'm more than willing to be flexible, because this is kind of a new way to approach these games in terms of what you come up with in your group. So one of the groups we talked about, maybe we just have to establish that for this game to be played, the players do all have to be in like one place and all looking at the same screen. So in a classroom, the teacher puts the game up on the smart board and everybody plays it there. So if that's what your group needs to do in order to kind of address your issue, I'm willing to be flexible in terms of that. Let's see, Wayne, your hand went
I
up
think
there.
you kind of just answered it, but I wanted to just be more clear. So we're not allowed to use third party applications or services to accomplish the interactiveness or collaborativeness of the games, as long as we're still using the Scratch components in some
Yeah,
way.
I guess mainly just because the Scratch is kind of the new piece this year, and I want to see how it works into things. I would like everybody to have something that is Scratch based. Again, that could be just rolling dice or something basic like that. But yeah, if you as a group have access to or have experience with another piece of technology that could help the game be played interactively, then yeah, I'm certainly open to exploring that as well. Right. I think your group is the one that brought up Pear Deck, right? Was what you were mentioning is maybe a.
No, we were talking about like Discord and
Oh, okay. It was a different
like
group then.
stuff
One
like
one
that.
of the groups had brought up maybe using Pear Deck as a way to have people submit answers and everybody see them, sort of a thing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be flexible, particularly when it comes to that whole online delivery thing, because that's kind of the new parameter that we're all dealing with this year in general, and that we're dealing with in this class more specifically. So, I am willing to if groups come up with a solution, just talk to me about it, and I'll be probably more than willing to go with it. All right, so just to kind of wrap up tonight, then, because believe it or not, I still have one more meeting I've got to go to tonight. So there's really only three things on the plate for this coming week. The first one is that Scratch is your actual Scratch project. Now that you have all the parameters for that, you can go ahead and get started on that. I do say here the project is due in 2 weeks, which is March 10th. If you need more time than that, just let me know, but that does give you 2 weeks. And again, I'm hoping that because I really want these to be kind of basic, just show me you can create interactive game elements through Scratch, that hopefully it won't take longer than 2 weeks to do. I mean, honestly, in terms of the amount of programming and stuff, this may not be that much bigger than any of the mini projects we did. Just maybe more targeted towards a specific result. So get a start on that. This might be a good week to do that because there's not a whole lot else specific. There is a forum, that a discussion forum, that I'd like you to take a look at. The link in the forum is to a page that's got about, I don't know, it's like 20 to 30 or maybe more abstracts for research about the effectiveness of gaming, particularly in instructional settings. So I don't want to take the route of having people have to go and read full research papers and do reports on them. But this page, at least by being able to read through the abstracts, you kind of get the overview and the summary of some of the research that's been done about instructional gaming. So all I want you to do is, you don't have to read all of the abstracts. Go through, scan the titles. If you see a couple of titles that sort of are interesting to you, read through those abstracts, maybe read through two or three of them. And then in the post, you're going to give just a little summary of the abstracts, but then kind of also your own response to what you see in those abstracts. I mean, it's all in the forum activity in terms of what you should do. This is a discussion forum, so I do want you to keep those conversations going as people create their posts and so on. So that'll be kind of a little side piece. And then the other thing we already talked about, which is just to continue your discussions in your groups to start to narrow down the possible topics for your games. So, like I said, you can use the group wiki page as a way to communicate. You could use Zoom, you could use a Google Doc, however your group wants to come up with a tool that will let you communicate with each other, and maybe just toss some ideas around and try to narrow some ideas down. All right. So any questions about any of that? All right. So again, next week is online. Sorry, asynchronous. So we will not be meeting in WebEx next week. As I said, at the latest, I will have all of the materials for next week's class posted by Wednesday morning. It may be up before that, depending on how my weekend goes. But next week, you will be just working on your own and working in your groups on the next couple of topics. All right. If there's nothing else, then that is all I've got for tonight. As always, I will hang out here until everybody's signed off. So if you've got a question for me directly, feel free to hang around. But if not, have a good night, and I'll be seeing most of you next Tuesday in the other class, but if not, I'll see you in 2 weeks back in this class. So thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Enjoy your
Good
evening.
night.
Thank you. Good night.